You're listening to the Sis You Can Do This podcast, and we are your hosts, Roshana
and Melissa. We're faith-driven women who hope to share with you all things lifestyle, wellness, purpose, and of course, Jesus. Thanks in advance for listening.
Welcome back to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Sis You Can Do This podcast. How you doing today, Mel?
I'm doing all right. It's a good day.
I know.
Yes.
It's a
And
good
we're
day.
colorful today. We're bringing in spring. We're wanting spring to come and winter to depart.
And forever.
Right. So we're bringing in spring with these colors.
Right. I'm feeling it. So before we get into today's topic, we haven't done a game or something
In a while.
So so I'm going to ask a question. Would you rather go on Love is Blind or 90 Day Fiancé?
None of the above. None of the above. But if I had to choose,
why? Sorry.
So 90 Day Fiancé, that would never be my life. Like the relationship is uneven, just naturally. You'd really have to find somebody just like, wow, this is love, for me to go through the process of filing and all of that. So I probably never would be on or in that situation. Love is Blind, the first couple of seasons, love the concept. Love the idea of the pods. Everything else, I was just like, ooh, I don't know about that stuff. But I like the idea of the pods, not seeing the person, getting to know the person through the wall. And I'm just like, I think I'd like something like that. So for the first couple of seasons, I'm just like, you know what, if they come to Toronto, I may go to the casting call. Now it's become a little bit more
showy.
People are looking for
fame
and all of that, and it's just the essence of it is, I think, is being lost. So, but them first seasons, I was just like, I could see myself on that, and of course that none of this applies to you.
No, I'm not on any show.
And no show at all. Yeah. So I'll probably go on Love is Blind first couple of seasons.
So now going back to the question with 90 Day Fiancé or Love is Blind, which one would your parents be upset with you going on? Like, would they have a problem? Would you tell them?
Well, my mother loves 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, so mom, you want her on 90 Day Fiancé then?
Mom is about that. Well, no, she likes the foolishness that ensues when the person gets to America and gets crazy. So she likes to watch that. So, and I don't think she knows of Love is Blind. Like, she's more of a 90 Day Fiancé. Oh, you should
tell her about it.
Yeah.
Just like the first 2 seasons, and then she doesn't have to watch it after that.
Right. So she I don't know if she'd want to see me on TV like that. Because, of course, parts of it you have to make it interesting, and it's how they cast you and all that stuff. So I don't know if my parents would be interested in me being on any of those things. Maybe my dad though.
Really?
He'd be out here trying to marry me off real quick. Oh. So he'd probably be okay with Love is Blind.
Well, I say all of that to say, because I think today we are talking about our parents.
Yes, we are talking about
our parents. So go ahead, start us off.
So today we are talking about our parents, and we are millennials, Rose. So most of our parents, if you're a millennial, are probably in the 60s or 70s, or maybe even older, but mostly 60s and 70s, I think our parents are now. So with being in the 60s and 70s, it comes with natural changes that happen to everyone as they age. Most millennials are navigating careers, they're getting married, having children, raising kids, But on the other side of all of the things that we're doing as millennials, we also have to keep an eye on our parents, right? So, Ro, you are doing all the things. You're a wife, you're a mother, you have a career, you're in ministry. What does it look like for you to give an eye on your parents at this point?
And obviously we love our parents.
Right.
I love my parents very much. I would say definitely become a tech person for them.
Right. Yes. You're helping them to navigate the technology.
Apparently I know it all. And I would say that's really like a tech person, someone that's kind of watches out for them in terms of where did you get that information,
right.
Mom?
They want you to send you money? No.
Yeah, or well, my parents are really good in terms of those things. They're not
scamming. They're not getting
scams, but it's more so you would hear oh, did you know this happened or that happened? You're like, but where did you get that information from? Mm-hmm. And then it's oh, YouTube or that. I'm like, that's not
Right.
a proper source.
That's
and I would say so
else.
keeping them in check of like, no, we can't just believe everything. Everyone is a doctor on YouTube. Everyone has a PhD.
Everybody has an opinion these days.
An opinion, right? And just like, make sure that the things that you're reading, you're actually fact checking, because there's so much information now out there and not everything is true.
Right.
So, just don't be gullible, naive to things, right? What about you?
So for me, I'm keeping an eye on their health. My parents are in their 60s in their 60s, and it's understanding that there are changes that come with being in your 60s, and so I'm the one keeping abreast, like, oh, did you eat today, and are you resting? And I'm checking on those little things. Also helping them keep up with technology. This is probably a weekly call with my mother. Something has gone awry on her laptop, and I need to figure out. It's like, oh, that's what you did. Press this and press that. So I'm that person. And then even just in a deeper way, helping them to unlearn things, right? That I recently have unlearned myself. Because sometimes you grow up with certain things, and it's what they learned from their parents, and then they taught it to you. And it's just, and I'll give you an example. Cornmeal porridge.
Okay.
We're Jamaican. We know about this, right? Initially, cornmeal porridge was a filler. It's something that made you full that was very cheap. So our grandparents and our great-grandparents used to do it when they had the litter of children that they had to feed in an economical way. Mm-hmm. Our parents and our grandparents would now swear by it that you need cornmeal porridge every morning or every other morning because it's good for you.
Even the babies need it in the bottle.
Right? It's good for you. But when you really scale it back and look at just the caloric value, we put the nutmeg, the sugar,
don't the ruin
vanilla.
It for us.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a nice treat. It's like eating ice cream. We don't eat ice cream every day, but there's a lot. You could.
I'm joking. No,
don't do it though. So it's kind of like that. It's not a healthy start to the day. It's actually a lot of sugar, and it was meant to do a certain thing at a certain time. But now for us, it really should just be a treat or something more nostalgic, as opposed to you need porridge in the morning. So it's me explaining to my mother why I only eat it sometimes, only when I kind of feel for it, or I just want something, sweet and, nice, as we call it, want something nice, but she thinks it's a healthy start to the day, and just kind of unlearning those things and pulling some of those things back. And I mean, that's one of many examples.
It's probably a very interesting conversation.
Right. It is. Because she's just like, no, it's good for you for the morning. I'm like, no, it's a lot of sugar in the morning. We really should be eating eggs and, a lot more protein in the morning. So that's been, and I mean, there've been other things that, even with money issues, like, oh, Mom, we need to have an emergency fund. We need to start investing because that's how our money grows. And they're from the generation of, no, I'm just going to save. And I was like, no, but the way how inflation is, saving is not to your
enough. Yeah.
Right. It's not enough. We have to learn how to invest and do these small things so that we can stay ahead of inflation and stuff. So it's just me. And I mean, and as I said, I just unlearned this last week. Right. So this is not something that I've always known, but the things that I'm learning as I'm growing, and, of course, we're in a new world with a lot of information. I'm trying to, little by little, give them pieces so that they can also unlearn some things that may not be beneficial to them.
That's good.
Yeah.
And, I think about, obviously having these conversations with our parents could be difficult at times. Could be, it's not easy. It's kind of like we're teaching them or telling them something, which, especially with Caribbean backgrounds, or I would even say even maybe African backgrounds, where that's not how it goes.
That's not how it goes.
Like, we are always still a child. We are their children, their son or their daughter, right? So finding ways to communicate these things and still honoring them could be challenging, right? And once again, this is no knock to our parents or anything like that, because we honor them, we love them, we respect them. But there are some things, like as we have entered into adulthood, or we are adults, as we've been for a while, and they are entering into a different season of their lives, finding the balance and the way to navigate through that can be hard. And, I always like to say, like, well, what does the Bible have to say about this?
Of course. What does
a little
the Bible
Bible
say?
moment.
Right.
Because once again, there's something for everything that we face is in the word,
It's
right?
in the word, right?
So there is a biblical command, and hopefully most of us have
it's
know
quite
this.
popular.
Right. But for those who don't, it's okay. There is a biblical command to honor our parents. In Exodus 20, verse 12, it says, honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you.
Right.
So you want a long life, you need to honor your father and your mother.
Right.
Ephesians 6, 2-3, it says, children. So that was Old Testament. Now we in the New Testament. So
Both places.
Ephesians 6, 2-3 says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise. I was just teaching Elias this the other day, and he was like, I know, Mommy, it's the first commandment with the promise. I'm like, you better recognize. So that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth.
Right.
So obviously God is telling us this. Jesus is communicating this to us, that we need to honor them in order to have, so that things would go well with us and have a long life, right? And what does it mean to honor? It means to hold to high respect or great esteem.
Right.
Right. So it's good to kind of, get that definition out there so we know what we're really talking about. So we hear the scriptures, we know what it is to honor. How do we balance honor with setting these personal boundaries, especially as adults? We're talking as millennials, right? We're not 15, we're not 18.
Yeah, we grown.
We grown now, right? So how would you balance that while setting personal boundaries?
Of course, always showing respect, right? I think when it comes to honor, we can equate that to having respect, just in the way that we talk to them, the way that we handle them, the way that we communicate, showing respect, providing support when appropriate. Because sometimes, as I said, they have to unlearn some things. They have to say, you know what, Mom, that's not the healthiest way to go about it, or what you said. I feel a certain kind of way about what you're saying right now, and let's unpack it. And they may not understand that kind of language because we're, especially in the Caribbean household, it's just like, I say something, you respect me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it just, depending on the kind of parent that you have, it can be almost difficult to navigate that. I'm respecting you, but I'm also correcting you if necessary, or showing you how to treat me, or how I'd want to be treated. And honoring does not equate to blindly following everything or every request that they say, especially if it crosses your own values or even your belief system. So
it's good.
We have to kind of take away or not equate honoring to that. It's just like, we're not going to blindly follow people. You have a certain set of values and a belief system that you have to, respect. And if you're crossing that, then we're going to have a conversation. It's so funny. I was talking to my dad yesterday, and I get my personality from my dad. So we're always joking around and, talking about some current event or whatever. And then he starts with a serious voice, and I know what the serious voice means. Just like, Mel, we have to talk about something. God, because I know exactly what's coming. I'm single. He knows my age because he was there when I was born, and he is just like, ma'am, what's happening? Let's talk about this. I'm just like, let's not talk about it, because the problem with us talking about it is that I know you mean well. I know that you have grandchildren in your thoughts, and I pray that for you. But in this moment, we're not there yet. And when we talk about it, it almost makes me feel worse about the situation when we have that conversation about it. So let's not talk about, let's change the topic, because it's not doing well. It's not doing anything for me, and in a conversation, it's both ways, right? We both want to get satisfaction from what we're talking about. So let's put a pause on this. I understand. I have the same desire you do, but things are just a little bit more challenging in these 2025 streets.
Right.
Right. And hopefully, and the thing is, and the wonderful thing about my dad is that, because we can joke about most things, he's just like, all right, and he'll change the topic, and then we'd move forward. So, I have great parents in that way, where they will just kind of they'll be like, okay, she's uncomfortable, or she's not feeling right about this, or she's expressing to me she's not, let me just move on.
Right.
Which is great, right?
But I mean, it's good having that personal boundary. You weren't disrespectful. You didn't disrespect him. You weren't rude about it. And I think that's a part of those personal boundaries that we need to set, because once again, we are adults, right? Other ways is, communicate through communication, which is what you did, but also to communicate like the what you have capacity for doing. And I say that in a sense of oftentimes it's like, I think of, and my parents have gotten better over time with this as I've been married for a longer period of time, but I can't just drop what I'm doing and come and assist or come and be there or rush over. We live now on two different ends of the city, right? But I've had to clearly say, I am not capable of doing that right now.
Right. I don't have capacity.
I don't have the capacity for it.
I love that. I've been saying that a lot lately. Like, I don't have capacity for that. Right.
Right. But it's true. It's just like, I'm not capable. I have my own things doing, but this is what I am able to help you with where I'm at, or that's going to have to be a Monday thing.
Right.
Or Wednesday thing. I can't rush over here like I normally would. Right. And I think also setting those realistic expectations with them as well. Like, no, it can't get done today, but maybe I could do it by X, Y, Z, or whatever the case may be. Right. Once again, through open communication. For people that have siblings, I have siblings. I know you do. Sometimes you have to delegate.
Right.
Delegate.
Yeah. Like
the responsibility. I'm like, have you spoken to the child that lives in your house?
Right.
Maybe.
Well, you know how far I live.
Maybe she can help you with that phone problem.
Right. So,
because oftentimes I'm like, I don't work for Google. I barely understand my own phone.
Right. I'm here trying to live too.
I have to ask Keen because half the time I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
But, if I can, I will. But if I can't, you can ask the child that lives with you. So I think it's so important to delegate, like, because we cannot carry, and I want to call it burden, but we can't carry that weight or that responsibility all the time. Right. And I know you're the eldest, right? So it might feel different from you. I'm a middle child, so
right.
I'm always trying to delegate.
Me and your sister have had conversations.
I'm delegating to the younger. I'm delegating to the older. I'm just like, don't involve me.
Yes, middle children like to delegate.
Yeah,
yes.
As the oldest one, how does that work for you?
It does feel sometimes like there's a lot of. Because you're the oldest one, I think that it comes with a different set of it's a different expectation. It's you have to be the bigger person, even when you're mad or you're upset about something. You have to be okay, fine. Let me put my feelings aside and let's figure this out, because they really are looking to you for the answers. Just like I did go to your sister, and she was in a bad mood, so . And then I'm just like, well, I'm also in a bad mood.
I'm usually that.
You're the person that's in the bad mood.
You came to me, I was like, I'm not having it today.
Right. But then you go to the oldest one, because I think we've been through everything. Like I've been there since the very beginning. So it's easy to say, no, she has everything under control. This one I tried, it didn't work out. Let me go to the responsible one who will always answer my phone calls, who will always...
Hold on.
I'm joking. Now I'm just projecting. But yeah, I do, in the dynamic that I'm in with my family, they'll go to different people for different things, or different siblings for different things. But the buck always stops with me. It's just like, if that one is not interested, the big one.
Yeah.
She always answers the phone, and it's just like, why do I always answer the phone?
No, I've been letting that go to voicemail. So
right. I'm joking. Middle child, no.
And if you're an only child, I would.
Everything is on you.
Everything, but then maybe you have to get other family members involved if the relationship is there, like that. But,
yeah, because it's a lot for one person to carry. I know. I had a boss, and she would. We were talking about Mother's Day, and I was just like, oh, did you do anything with your mom? And she's like, yeah, I called her, in the evening. And I'm like, what? You had that option to call her in the evening and not the first thing in the morning to say Happy Mother's Day? She's just like, I mean, as long as I call her during the day, right? And I'm just like, oh, must be nice. Only child, she doesn't have any other options. So she just has to wait for your call at 4 p.m. Whereas me, if I don't call by 10, it's a problem,
Well, that actually goes to the next point, let go of guilt.
Right.
Right? In terms of when you're setting those personal boundaries, because loving them doesn't mean saying yes to everything.
Right.
It doesn't mean showing up in ways that are not sustainable for you.
Right.
And that's important because, you know, we wear so many different hats all the time. And sometimes it's like, I have to be here at this place for this person, but you want me here, and I need to, and all these things could be happening. And we don't want to put ourselves in this whirlwind of just doing because we feel like we have to.
Right.
And let go of that guilt, which goes back to the open communication, setting realistic expectations, right? And I say this is also very important. I've had to learn this, especially in the beginning stages of, you know, getting married, then having a child, and then now having children. You know, my first responsibility is with them. Right. And
they're now your extended family.
Right.
Right.
And it's not that I don't want to be there. It's just that I can't always. And I love the advice, and I'm always open to advice because I don't know everything. You know, I've only been on this earth for 35 years, so I don't know everything. But I am also an adult.
Right.
Right. Can legally vote, do what I need to do,
all the things.
Live on my own.
Yes.
Right. And I think it was a pastor that said it, or another pastor that I heard, that, you know, honoring doesn't mean that you have to obey them, especially, and I say this with context, especially when you don't live in their house.
Right.
Because that's important. If you live at home, there's a fine line between like that not obeying thing, and I'm not.
It's a weird little. I know people are adults living and growing children with parents, and it can be a weird. Depending on personalities, it can be a weird dance. Yeah.
Right. But I'm talking like, you know, I've recognized that I have my own home and my own things to take care of, and I will honor you and respect you, and I hold my parents to great esteem and all these things, but I'm not going to do everything that you tell me to do if I feel like it's not fitting to my family, or if it doesn't make sense to what it is that I'm doing over here, right? And I think that's also important because it's hard. It's hard for them to understand because we're navigating this whole, like you said, it's like this dance. Like we're navigating where you are over there as my parent. Now in your 60s.
I'm a child, but I'm your child, but I'm also an adult.
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird dance.
And it's a weird dance, but you know, I've recognized it's important having patience and extending grace to them. You know, just, you know, we talk about the technology thing, and I think about like the calls that I've got of, how do you print this and send this picture? And I'm like, Mom.
Yeah.
Mom, please.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And I've explained this 51 times before, but we'll explain it for the 52nd time, you know,
Please,
but it's true. It's just like, you know, not getting frustrated in those moments because I'm not trying to belittle her or make her feel small or say like, you're aging and you're getting old. You don't understand. Because no, absolutely not. Like we're all going to age, you know, we're all going to get there, and we would want the same kindness, the same respect, the same grace, the same patience to be dealt towards us, right?
Right. And as you said, they are aging, and they are living in a world that drastically changed on them.
Right.
Right? Like the internet came in the mid 90s and was probably made more popular towards the end of the 90s is when we were like all on the internet. And they had to pretty much relearn something as adults that, you know, and it's just consistently changing.
Right.
And it's just like they have to keep up with this world that just feels like it wasn't, you know, made for them. And of course, as they're getting older, some of them, depending on their age and how they've kept themselves, are losing certain independence. You know, sometimes I have to say to my mom, it's just like, did you overdo it today? And it's so funny when we have these conversations. I'm just like, you overdid it today.
Oh, gosh.
You should have just gone to the supermarket and then here.
Yeah.
But you decided to go to the supermarket, then do this and do this. And then now you're coming home, you're tired. Like I hear it. And I'm just like, you overdid it today, didn't you? And she's like, yeah, I did anyway, it's very much you know, the roles have in some ways switched. Because now when I hear that in her voice that she had either a rough day, I'm just like, oh no, you had a bad day. And it would rest on me. It's just like, you had a bad day. I hate that for you. Just like how if Elias comes home now and something happens, you're just like, oh no, my son had a bad day.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's just like, it's almost a weird little switcheroo of those things.
That check-in.
Check-in is just like, what's going on with you today? Or, you know, why do you sound that way? And of course, unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of seeing my parents every day. This is more phone because they're in a different country. And it's just like, I have to be even more keen to hear the differences or the changes or the things that may be happening that they may not want to tell me because, I don't want to worry her. Mm-hmm. And you have to just be just a little keener because I'm not putting my eyes on them every day. And it's just, it's a lot is the point. It's a lot. So a shift of mindset from obligation to opportunity is kind of where at this point millennials or adults should be, as far as us, serving them, because in that honoring, you almost are serving them. They become your children in some ways. I mean, they'll tell you that they're adults and don't don't forget it. I'm your mother.
Absolutely.
Right. But in some ways they kind of, my mom always says it, once a man, twice a child. Mm-hmm. And you see just the incremental like shifts that just happens in the aging process. It's just like now they're forgetting things and now they're, not doing what they're supposed to be doing for their health and not realizing that, no, you can't do all of that in one day. You're 65. Mm-hmm. You have to pace yourself. And it's just, we're the parents in some ways now. And it's going to be even more as they get older, because then, there'll be a time where you have to literally physically take care of them probably. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to think about it, to be honest. But it's also, that's the aging process. And it's beautiful in some ways, but also in other ways, it's a little scary.
Yeah. I hear you on that. And I like that from obligation to opportunity. So I'm not obligated to do these things, but an opportunity to serve them, to love on them, to remind them that, to do the things that they need to do in order to remain healthy, whole, functional, and just, even my mother-in-law, I was like, make sure you get up and you walk and you're taking care of yourself. Yeah. She's very active, this.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yes.
Very active still. And she's in her early 70s. And like people wouldn't believe it.
And she doesn't look it.
No.
She's a little cutie patootie.
Right. But all of that is like, okay, I don't look at it anymore as obligation to do things for her. I look at an opportunity.
It's like, my mom calling me again. No, it's an opportunity for you to check in. Yeah. Like, these are people.
Yeah.
They are people and my dad just wants to talk about all the current events.
Yeah.
And I let him.
Yeah. Because that's the same with my dad. Like, he's not a big talker in person, but on that phone.
Right.
Woo, he can go for hours. And instead of rushing him, and there's been opportunities before, I used to be like, okay, Dad, like, why are you calling? Dad, now I just let him go and do his thing, and we banter, and we go back and forth, and I see the joy that comes from that.
Right.
Of just simply taking that time to honor and to show that, I have my own things going on here, but you're still very much important to me. I'm going to
engage in this conversation, as fruitless as it is sometimes, but we're going to engage.
Right. Because I love you and I honor you.
That's it.
And, and even as we're talking about just an opportunity to serve them, Colossians 3:23, it says, whatever you do, whatever your task may be, work from the soul. That is, put in your very best effort as something done for the Lord and not for men. And it is just a reminder that times it can be so overwhelming.
Right.
By helping them, and whether it's with tech stuff or reminding, hey, did you take your pills? Or, hey, did you do this? Or, hey, did you do that? We're just called to honor them.
Right.
And as we're honoring them, we're honoring the Lord, and to do it with all of our might, and no longer look at it as like, oh, those are our aging parents, and I got
my own stuff going on.
Right. And I pray that they would be in their right mind till the time they leave this earth.
Right.
But to really take that seriously, like, sometimes we could be so dismissive in a world of fast moving, fast paced, 20-second video. Like, we're just like, okay, what's next? Hurry up. That we could miss the moments with them. And I often hear people that, have lost parents say that I wish my mom was still here. I wish my dad was still here. Take that opportunity to tell them that you love them. Take that opportunity to love on them, because
they're not going to be here.
They're not going to be here forever, right? So, as you're listening to this today, call your mom, call your dad. Yeah, tell them you love them.
Tell them you love them.
Take this as a reminder, as an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I've always heard people say that have lost their parents, and we are getting into that phase of life as well, where our friends and people around us in our same age group are losing parents, and it's always the, man, I wish I'd made more time for him. I wish I had, stopped sending him to voicemail, and all of those types of things. And I'm just like, I don't want to have any of those regrets. I want my parents to know when they leave this earth that I love them. I honor them. I respect them. They weren't perfect, but they were the perfect people for me.
Right.
And it's just, I hope if you get nothing from this episode, you just understand just the fragility of life. Like you're seeing the small changes. Your parents are getting older. The grays are showing just a smidge more. And, you're seeing the wrinkles come out, and it's just like, it's a beautiful process. But also at the same time, it's an indication that the seasons are progressing.
Right.
Right. And they're in their 60s or 70s now. And we hope that they get to 150, but at some point, if the Lord doesn't come, they'll have to leave us. And, you want to be at that funeral or that homegoing saying, you know what, they got the best of me, and I got the best of them. And this was beautiful. And yeah, so not get emotional.
Yeah.
Anyways, so as we conclude today, as we wrap up, I wanted to take this moment to reflect on the importance of honoring our parents. Our parents have shaped us in countless ways, and their love and guidance have been instrumental in some of our journeys. But in any case, they have shaped us in some way, whether that be the great things or the not so good things, but they are our parents, right? And God gave us to them, and we gave, and then we were given to them. So if you have any stories about your parents, whether it be hard stories, beautiful stories that'll make us laugh or cry, we'd love to hear from you. So you can email us at sisyoucandothis@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM on @sisyoucandothis on Instagram. And don't forget, you can rate, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can share this podcast, share this broadcast, and of course, leave us a review. We want to hear from you. So until next time, thank you for tuning in.
And remember, sis, you can do this.